I want to go back to what you said earlier when we talked, starting to look in looking into franchising. So you went to the IFE in New York.
Mhm.
Was it there where you had the defining moment to franchise the concept, or had you decided already? I want to kind of understand when did you decide that you're going to franchise? What happened to make that trigger that?
I had been trying to educate myself about franchising and what that looks like, but I went to one of the seminars by Mark Siebert from iFranchise Group,
Sure,
and he still checks in with me to this day. He's
Mark's
such an
great.
amazing guy. We worked with this company in the very beginning when we first started franchising. They were such a huge help, and he's really been a mentor. But meeting him and then meeting so many other people who eventually became mentors as well for me and my team, it was just a no-brainer for us at that point. We just knew that was the direction that we wanted to go in. So I think sitting through the seminar in New York and going through that first seminar of A to Z of franchising,
Hmm.
that's when I really kind of fell in love with the concept, and it felt right for our brand.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Well, let's go over some of the numbers. So I understand you have 40 franchises open. Sweet. Even though you only franchised since 2019, that's incredible. You have 5 more in development. You're in about 20 states. One of the most popular questions I get from emerging founders is, how do I find my first, dozen franchisees? So Amy, where did you find your first dozen franchisees?
So when we first started, this was in 2019, it was all organic. They were our first 3 franchisees were people that knew us in the local market, and clients as well, or wanted to become a client. So those were our first 3 that came on board in 2019. So in 2019, we brought on our first 3 franchisees. Tanya Lee was our founding franchisee in Reston. She wanted to become a client, but she was out of her territory
Okay.
and she was about to do it by herself. And then she heard that we were franchising. So she reached out to us and it was an immediate connection. We knew she was going to be our founding franchisee. And she has been the best brand ambassador I could ever possibly ask for.
That's
She's
awesome.
amazing. And then our next 2 franchise owners were clients of ours. So
Of
they
course.
opened up their franchises. And then once COVID hit, we halted selling and awarding new franchises. We
Okay.
really wanted to get through the pandemic, take care of our new franchise owners. We wanted to focus on our corporate location as well and just kind of get through all of that. And then we had started having discussions with Authority Brands. And in January 2022 is when we became part of Authority Brands. And that's really where we have seen the increase in new owners coming on board, because having this parent company now, we had the resources, the capital, and the expertise behind us to really get out there and start marketing us as a franchisor and having the resources to be able to attract top owners that are now coming part of our system. So really it was once we became part of Authority Brands is where we
Mhm.
saw the growth happen. But I always caveat that because growth is great, but it has to be responsible growth. It has to be the right owners, the right situation in order to be a successful franchisor and have a successful franchise system. And that's something that was very important to us. We're not caught up in the numbers of, oh, we sold 500 franchises this year.
Mhm.
It's not selling, it's not worrying about numbers. It's how do we bring on the best owners possible that are going to add value to the brand, that are going to promote the brand, be those great brand ambassadors like Tanya? How are they going to help us elevate our brand as a whole? And that's what we look for. So I always talk about responsible growth. That's something that's just very important to us and to Authority Brands.
That's awesome. And I know, of course, responsible franchising is a big buzzword throughout the IFA now, but it's always been a thing to make sure that we franchise responsibly. That's nothing new about that. I think it's become maybe more of a buzzword because of the influence of, in some cases, private equities push, or the franchise sales organizations claiming, hey, we're going to sell 40, 50 franchises for you this year, whether you're ready or not, and the broker groups. So and also founders or leaders that are saying, I just want to keep franchising and opening locations. So I think everybody's part of the problem I don't put any blame on any one part of franchising, but it's definitely become it's more of a buzzword as we're all hearing, right?
I think so. I mean, I think it's just something that it's it should be on top of mind. I mean, it's you do want to grow the brand, but you really have a responsibility as a franchisor to be able to support your franchisees. These are people that are investing heavily into this new franchise system, and this is their world, their life, and
Absolutely.
you have such a strong responsibility to take care of them and provide all the support that they need. So it's something that I know so many people take that so seriously, and and it is probably very overused and a little cliched, but I can't help it because it is very near and dear to my heart. I
Good.
think that's just critical.
That's awesome. So, Amy, who is your ideal franchise owner, and what traits do they need to be successful in running your brand?
Kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You have to have that business acumen, that management experience. You're going to be managing a team of people, a lot of different personalities. You know, on the pet sitting side, you could have a 70-year-old retiree and a 22-year-old college kid and everything in between. You know, your groomers are very creative, artistic people with a highly specialized skills. So somebody who has very strong management experience with all different age groups, someone who has just that very strong business acumen, who understands and appreciates that this is a business and it's not just a hobby and a cute thing to do. I want to go play with puppies. So that piece, but also you have to have that passion for animals. This is not a business that you can go in effectively and just all business and all I care is the bottom line. And I don't care about the relationship with my team members or the relationship with my clients and taking care of the pets. If you don't have that piece, this is not the brand for you. It's you can't just like animals. I think you have to have that true passion, and your team has to reflect that as well.
Yeah. Are you looking for strictly single unit franchise owners, or doing multi-unit franchise opportunities as well?
We have a mix. We have several locations that do 3 territories. That's kind of the max that we would offer. A lot of ours are 1 and 2 territory owners.
How big are the territories?
They're based on households, 75,000 households.
Okay. All right. That's a good size territory. I'm wondering about the kind of the training and support and all this, because you're spinning a lot of plates as a franchisee for your brand,
Right.
because there's so many different services that really might not really relate to one another. So can you elaborate a little bit on the training and support if I was a new franchise owner?
Yeah. So when you first come on board as a new owner, you go through our onboarding process, which typically takes 45 to 60 days. About 30, 45 days into it, you start pre-training, and that's 1 month online pre-training. It's 2 sessions a week. So for those people who are still going through all their onboarding, you know, you kind of do the pre-training at the same time. And then we have you come in for 1 week of hands-on training at our Ashburn location. And that's really great, where we work with the owners and they go out in the van with the groomer. They see what it's like, what a day in the life of a groomer is. They go on consults, so they see what doing new client consults looks like. We have them go through Pet Tech first aid certification. Everything that we do is very hands-on that week that we have them come in for training. One thing that we started doing earlier this year, and I absolutely love it, every month we have a Meet Your Pack Day, where our candidates who are in the final stages, they come into Ashburn and do an in-person meeting with the operations and marketing team. And we coincide it with the week that we have the in-person training for our new owners. And it's really great because we'll do a happy hour or a dinner, but we have the new owners going through training, and then we have our candidates that are flying in to meet with the team and go through the Meet Your Pack Day. And then we also invite our local Virginia franchise owners to come. And it really kind of goes to the culture of Woofie's, very open transparency, very collaborative. We're an emerging brand. We love that collaboration among our owners. So it's been something that has been new this year, and we absolutely love it. It really gives our candidates a great opportunity to spend a little time with these new owners and just, hey, what's it really like? How'd it go through onboarding? How's the training going? And these people a lot of times end up becoming like their mentors once they come on board.
Oh, I
So it's
bet.
been really fun to blend the candidates with the new owners.
You're giving them a taste of the culture really early on.
Very early.
And
Very early.
you probably weed people out better by doing this, don't you?
We do. We weed, but on the flip side, it really shows what the brand is all about. And they get to meet these awesome owners locally in Virginia. They get to meet these awesome new owners going through training,
Mm-hmm.
and they get to see what kind of people is going to comprise their new peer network. And
Right.
I always talk about with emerging brands, like one of the biggest benefits of coming into an emerging brand, but just any franchise system, is you now have this group of peers that you're all business owners together at Woofie's. And I want them to all meet early on and get to know each other and collaborate. So when you do have a question, you can pick up a phone to the owner in Rochester, New York. You can pick up the phone down in Greater Jacksonville, North Carolina. And these are people you might have already met, but we want that very collaborative spirit with our owners.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.